Okay, Art, you're live.
We're live. Yay, I'm alive. Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in. RT Bear here, 30-year comic book vet, Superman, Batman, Fantastic Four, X-Men, you name it. I probably have done it. And this is going to be kind of a catch-all show. There's a lot of things that I wanted to talk about in the last couple of chats and didn't have a chance, or I deleted information, or just genuinely overall just forgot. So this is going to be a catch-all. We're just going to go and just kind of go over stuff that I overlooked earlier. And sitting in for Taylor is Pamela T. Bear. Say
Hey,
hi.
everyone. And hi, John. John says, okay, boss.
Okay, boss. Is that John Davies?
Davies,
Hey,
yes.
John Davies. Hey, John Davies, do you know who this is? Do you know who the penciler of this piece is? A cyber buck to anybody who could guess who penciled this. I'm waiting. I'm waiting.
I think you've stumped him.
Well, we'll come back to it. Okay. So let me see if I can do this without deleting anything. Is it this one? Okay. So, was it yesterday, Pamela, or was it the day before, right?
Day before.
We had this kid on the show. So, this is Pamela and my kid, Amanda. She goes by Mandy. And there were some photographs and some of her artwork that I didn't get to show. So I told her that I would show some of this stuff off. So where was this? This is in LA somewhere. There's like these trains, right?
No, actually, it's out like Yucaipa or someplace like that, east. And it's an old train station.
So it's not that place in LA that's that like train like graveyard place or whatever it
Mm-mm.
is.
No.
Train City, is that what it's called?
Yeah, no, this was out in Yucaipa or something.
So is this a working train?
It could be.
Well, I think it's adorable. So there's that. Oh, wait a minute. There's that. These aren't going in order. I thought they would go in order. They're not going in order. Okay, this was the next one I wanted to show you. So she was like modeling for some pumpkin patch, right? Here in Corona.
Yes.
So this is a little selfie, I think. So I thought that was adorable. Fill up the screen. Fill up the screen with orange. So Halloween is right around the corner. We're days away from October, right? Tomorrow's the last day of the month.
Um. Oh, and John says, yeah, that's Capullo on those pencils.
Yeah.
Yeah, tomorrow's the last day of September.
So let's see. Okay, so these are her drawings, paintings. I think this is some ink wash and charcoal. So,
I do know the name for this one.
what's the name?
Plague Doctors.
The Plague Doctors. The Plague Doctor is in. So it's pretty cool. The kid's cool. She got a bit of a beat down at school yesterday, so I think this will make her feel a little better. So we have the Plague Doctor piece, and then we have the lady in green with the red
Someone
background.
says those look awesome.
Thanks. I agree. I agree.
She has sold a lot of those Plague Doctor prints.
Yeah, I think she sold this original too.
Yeah, I think so.
So let me see if I think that's it for her. So like I said, this is going to be a catch-all. So this is a lot of things that kind of fell in the cracks the last couple of days. So this guy that I do not know his name, I'll zoom up and see if we can find his name, and I think there's a signature here. But this fellow has been for the last three portfolio reviews. He was in the mix, but for whatever reason, just was I didn't click on it, or it wasn't up, or something. I don't know what happens.
He got lost.
He got lost.
He's the Joker. He made a joke and ran away.
And ran away. So he's trying to illuminate us with the candle here. So there is a signature on the Flazzer. By the way, those hatches look cool. So it's a 2018, and I can't read it. And his name is not in the file. So if this is you, then chime in, let me know, and we can give you a little bit of promotion. Gosh, who was the guy? Was it Aaron? I can't remember his last name. I had him on the show. Was it yesterday? Was the portfolio review? It's all blurring.
Yes. Yeah.
And he got hired for a cover. So somebody listening hired him from the show, saw his work on the show, and hired him to do a cover. So, you know, exposure does help. So we're getting you guys out there, letting people see your work, and people are coming around and giving you guys some jobs. So you're welcome. I really like it. Actually blows up pretty good. I like the hatching. There's a lot of nice things going on here. There's a lot of thin to thicks going on. It's quite good. So I'd say right now the strength of this piece is the darks and lights and your cool hatching. However, now we get into the review. So this is going to be a little bit of a review section now. We're kind of jamming a bunch of different things into one today. So one of the things we should always do, especially if it's somewhat of a symmetrical face, meaning it's just a straight on shot. Let me see if I can find this. I think it needs to go over a little bit, and I'll thin out my line. Let's just say this is the center of the piece. Well, one thing we usually, a front, straight on front shot usually is 5 heads wide. So if you measure, let's just do it this way in order. So like there would be one eye distance here. Let me do this way. So it'd be one eye distance here, and then the actual eye distance. And then between the two eyes is an eye distance, and then the eye distance, and then the side of the head. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 eyes wide. So depending on the character, sometimes it can vary a little bit, and the angle, of course, but a straight on shot is 5 eyes wide. That's the face. So the face is a good width, and usually the distance of the nose is the width of an eye. So whatever the distance here is should be the distance between the nose. So you can, I think by drawing the center line, you can already tell that it's not quite symmetrical. So if we draw a straight line from the eye here, you can tell, you can see the nose goes over into the eye space. It should end right here. And so then if we go over the same distance, let me do this again. Okay. Let me move this over again. Somewhere in there. So then you can see that the nose is still over here and over here. So more here than over here. But you can see that this eye isn't lining up with the nose or with the distance between these two. So what I would do is I would bring this nose in here and keep it the width of the eye. This eye is fine. It's in the right place. But this eye should be moved over. So just by doing that, you can already see the symmetry, and you can see the way it should work better. So I would say right off the bat, your eye positioning could be better. So I hope that helped. So if you always think about it as 5 eyes wide, and that the eyes are the width, or the nose is the width of the eyes. So whatever your distance here is the distance between the eyes, and would be the width of the eyes as well. So, and once again, if it's a straight on shot like this, then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 eyes wide on the face.
Now, is there any place that people can get this kind, so that they can research and do this?
Excuse me. Most anatomy books, most drawing books will have, will have this information. I'm a little phlegmy today. We'll have this information. So the Loomis books are good. The what did we say? I gotta look. I think it's Jack Ham books, the Bridgman book, and even most just drawing faces books will have this information, because this is it's pretty basic information. So yeah, look it up, and then never ever underestimate guidelines. Always draw guidelines. I'm going to put a couple more guidelines in so you guys can kind of see what I'm talking about. So, excuse me, straight on shots like this are probably the easiest to grid up, because there's a true horizontal and a true vertical. Oh, excuse me. Wow, I'm not doing good right now. So we have that, and then what I would do as well is find the side of the face and draw a line. I keep drawing at the same place. I'm actually not looking directly at the screen, so it's a little hard to draw just because of the way I have to put the camera in here. Well, you guys get the idea. It's taking too long. So, I'm going to get in my wife's space here and draw this line. There we go. I'm looking straight at it now. Well, that's not it.
By jingies.
I know. Okay. So, already we can see a potential problem here too, that the width here is not the same width here. So this side of the face is cut in more than this side. So I'd say this side, since it's more the 5 eyes wide, is probably the correct dimension. So then this cheek should come over a little bit more. So this whole side, because of the eye and everything, are pushed in to the face. So that's what I would do. And also, if you want to find shoulders, neck, especially this applies if it's a real formal shot, which this is. So you have the top of the shoulder here, and then it's way down here. And it can do that if you're dropping your shoulder. But I'm just kind of giving you, like, if it's more of a formal, symmetrical kind of shot, which this looks like it is. So if you draw your guidelines across, then you can start seeing how things reference others. So you have your collar way up here, but the collar's down here. So to be more symmetrical, the collar would be up here, and then you would draw through it and then find the other side right here. So this is a really good drawing. It's a really good start. So I think guidelines could help you, and then the only thing, kind of a parting shot, would be, oh, also just the center. Then you can also see that the tie is off. So you can also find the center of your body, because usually your head is lined up in the center of the body in a formal shot like this. Not always, but in a fairly formal shot like this. And then the next would be, hands are always a little difficult to draw, but this one needs a palm and a wrist. So I think you're missing the palm part of the hand. Excuse me. And so then I would bring the sleeve down in this area. And it would make this a lot more convincing, the hand and everything. And so then this part right here is the other part of the palm that connects with the thumb. And then this is the other side of the palm of the hand. So, yeah, I hope that helped. I wish I knew your name. The hair is really, really cool. I like all the little curves, and I like all the striations, little strands and stuff of hair. It's really cool. I would actually like to see you ink this up after you made some of these corrections. So this is good. You guys are always, as always, you guys are really brave to put this stuff out there and to let me talk about it and to let people see your work. So keep at it. This is a great start. You definitely have a future. So let me see if I can. And we finally got to him. We finally got to him, Pamela.
I know.
He got on the show.
Woohoo!
Okay, let's do, okay. Oh, there's one. See, this is why things don't happen. This is one. I found this one. I don't know, there's so many tabs open, it's hard for me to keep track of them. And they don't, once I get so many, it's hard to go in order. So I try. So this is the kid as well. So this is kind of a more, I guess, kind of superhero-y comic book kind of thing. She looks a little like she's using her mind powers. She's all Jean Grey here. So there's the kid as a superhero. All right, so we have, let me see what this one is. Oh, we have another painting by the kid. I don't know if you guys know who this character is. What was that show called? That little success.
That
success
one
story?
a few people watched. Gee, I don't know, hun. What was it?
I don't know. Maybe people know. I don't know. I don't know what it is. So this Demigorgon. This is the Demigorgon. I think it's oils. She works in oils and sometimes acrylics. So there you go. I think that wraps her up.
John's going, Stranger Things.
Stranger Things, yes. Okay, so I think, well, this is a creator-own. And how would you say his name? Can you see it up there, Pamela?
Guido Warp?
Yeah, it's what it looks like here too. So he did put his name, if that is his real name, in the file, so that's cool. It looks like a creator-owned idea by Guido, and it's From Beyond. I really like this. I like all the texture. I like this villain. I like the way you inked him up. It's not solid, but you kind of cross your hatching in places that create black, which is cool and not always the easiest thing to do. So I really like this background element. I like all these sweeps. I like how the sweeps stylistically blend with the character. So it looks like it's one kind of idea. And I like your blacks in the background here. This is pretty bold. I like it. I like it. I'd like to see the inks a little tighter. They're a little scratchy. I like the scratchiness in the background part, but in the ground and some of your hatching on the figure, it's a little too thin, a little too scratchy. I'd like to see it a little bit more defined. The figure's good. It crops really bad though. I think this would be a way more successful. It looks like a cover if you got the full foot and hand in here. So I would either move him up compositionally or just add to the bottom of it to get the whole foot and hand in there. Because it's never a good idea to crop like that. The anatomy is pretty good. The design is pretty good. It's not bad. I think just tighten it up, simplify. Let me see. Simplify maybe some of the background. This floor detail here. So maybe, I mean, you can do this, but you would probably have to be less scratchy with the pin, because this could work. I could figure it out if I was inking this, but it's kind of not working right now, and I don't know if this helps. I'm just trying to simplify some of it. So I don't know, let's pull back. Nah, it looks too stark now with the style. Yeah, maybe let's try, you know, let's just do it this way. Maybe just, and I don't know, I'm just making stuff up too.
One guy says the guy has a turkey body,
Little,
more torso.
yeah, I kind of like it though. Let's see what we have. Yeah, maybe if it was more simplified, because you have this nice round shape. So, and then you have the stark black. So maybe if the ground was a little bit more open and simplified, so then you have your fire device or motif going here. You have this villain, and they're definitely, this is cool because there's not a lot of solid blacks and it's kind of hatched. And then you have your blacks here, and then you have your black in the figure. Maybe almost a simplified open area here. So maybe a good opened area would help make it read better. And also, he almost stands out more, especially if the whole figure was here versus with all the hatching down there. Because sometimes if things are too busy, it becomes flat. It will flatten and change the dynamics of it. So it's a good design. You have it designed to where, you know, all the elements could work, but I think this ground is a little too busy and it flattens your image out. So I was questioning myself at first to take this background out, but I think it serves it better and he stands out better as well. So as far as the figure's concerned, I think once again, if there were some guidelines, let me find my red. So here's a case where the torso won't line up with the head because the torso is going in a different direction than the face, but this is kind of the center of the face. So you can already see this eye is further over and this one's closer in. to the center. So I think that this eye is probably a little bit more correct, but what I would do is I would probably bridge the gap. I would move this eye in a little bit, and I would move this eye a little bit out. But everything else looks pretty good. And this isn't a direct front on shot. I just drew the center of the face, but it's not like that Joker shot. His face is a little bit more slightly three-quartered. And then you can see that this eye is dropped a little bit from that eye. So if you were to draw, so that's almost the top of this eye, and then you can see this one's a little lower. So always draw your guidelines in. They will definitely help. And then shoulders don't always work this way, but if you kind of slightly grid up like some of your figure, you can start seeing things, like you can see things clearer, and they help you line things up. And so one of the things is, I think this shoulder is up a little too high. So once again, well, not once again, but you should always kind of like draw through things. So just kind of act like the head doesn't exist, and how the torso would look without the head obscuring it. So that's what they call drawing through an image. So you can draw through backgrounds, you can draw through anything that you can't see because something else is obscuring it. So always do that. It will help you figure out where things line up. And I think I'd like to see a little bit more curve in this shoulder, maybe some breaks. I'm not sure, but maybe the bicep overlapping this forearm, and then I don't know, the leg looks a little short to me. So maybe a little bit of a waist, a hip, and then bring the leg out. So let's see what we got. Yeah, maybe this leg's a little weirdly drawn, but you get the idea. I think it would probably be in more the angle that he had drawn it originally, but I believe it would be longer. And then, like I said, just finish up the hands and then the foot. And you have yourself a pretty killer figure. And I think you have this nice like horizontal hatching with everything, and it uniforms things up. But once again, I think you have it's a little too busy. So I think I would simplify some of the things up. Either that, or like you have these rocks with the lines going this way, and then you have this wall, and then you have the bricks. So you have a lot of movement going this way, and even your hatching on the figures kind of in places like that. If you make these lines thinner, or don't do them at all, or make these thicker, but somehow to try to establish your planes a little bit more, because the line weights are about the same in the same direction and done similarly. So it all it starts flattening things as well. And what I would do is, and if you start using like a brush or a crow quill, it'll help you do these ideas better. And I'm going to try to draw into this like a hatch. So if they kind of taper more into a thick, then what happens is they look less wiry and more defined, and they look less they look more thought out, they look more uniform, they look more committed to. So you have like, there's not a lot of line weights to it. So if you put like a slight taper to the lines, I think it would help. And they don't all have to be thick to thin. Like here, you can, start getting closer together and thicker. So what that does is it implies that it's light here and then it's recessing back into a shadow. So like this is the same where there's light here and then it's recessing back into a shadow. So if these got closer together and thicker than the top ones, then it would show a transition. So this is very good. Your drawing's good. Your composition's really nice. Keep your if this guy was full figure in this thing, it would really, really be dynamic. So great start, Guido. So then I wanted to show a couple pages of the story. So I believe this is story page 1. That was the cover, so this is story page 1. So once again, I think you're falling into a lot of similar textures on top of similar textures. So it's not serving your composition. It's very ambitious, but it's turning everything into the same. So I think learn how to prioritize your foreground, midground, background. So this would be, for an example, this would be, let me thicken this up. This would be your foreground. And so like this building here would be your midground. And then possibly this building and this rock would be kind of mid background. And then this right here would all be background. So, excuse me. One of the things you should try to do is have things on each one of these planes that don't exist anywhere else. So either have this guy in a lot of shadows and then have your midground with very little shadows in it, and then your background would be hatched, or any of those three combinations. Because if you have something that's open and then solid black and then hatched, you have three different unique ways or I guess language to use to establish those planes. And there's various ways and various combinations of those ideas that you can use. So, yeah, it looks like the cover was a little bit of a different style. This stuff's getting a little muddy. It looks like maybe he's using a brush now. So I'd say practice a little bit more with a brush. And once again, try to think about your planes or just how to simplify maybe some of this stuff. It's a little too busy and your hatching is really thick. It's kind of clunky. So maybe figure out how to simplify and clarify some of your shapes a little more, and they'll read better. You can already see it's starting to kind of read a little bit better. I'm not sure what's going on between these two things here. I don't know if I want to because it looks pretty bad. I mean, bad as in horrific, not bad as in drawn. But yeah, I'd say try to simplify. The style that you have is very ambitious, so I think I would try to think of it a little bit more simplified and less hatched. until you can kind of get a better handle on some of the hatching, keep practicing. But yeah, just try to think of more simplification, and then try to tighten up some of the line work. But your storytelling is pretty good. This is pretty good storytelling. Yeah, this is a real prime example of like similar texture on similar texture. And you are bringing some of those ideas, the thin and thicks, into the work that I was talking about on the other page on the cover here and here, but they just need to be a little tighter. And also you have a lot of similar brush strokes throughout the piece. So like your rocks, you have it on there, you have it on the figures, you have it on that little wall there. So once again, figure out what planes you want certain textures on, and then simplify. So you can already see how just what I did right there is kind of clarifying some of the stuff. And this ground, like if you want it to fade into a black where this guy is here, what you can do to establish depth is keep it simple as it comes into the foreground, meaning take out the hatches in all of this. You can keep the shadow where he's at. Kind of simplify, and it can kind of fade into the side there, or like, you know, like fade into the blacks here, and then maybe open it up a little bit as it progresses down. But you can already see it's kind of establishing like depth to the piece. So it's lighter here and darker here. And then what I would do, and I got two ideas here, but let's do this one first. Like simplify some of this with, because you can simplify with blacks too. So just keep these really like simple shapes, simple black. So it's kind of fading into this solid black figure here. And then the other idea, and this is probably not going to work, but let's just do it. Sometimes you have to try things and then just see if they work or not. But like bring a solid black into this guy as a shadow, because it'll anchor him. And actually it's kind of working. And then I have one more idea, and then I'm gonna move on, is open this wall up. I know you did all that work in there, and it's cool, but sometimes less is more, because readability is important. So I had an idea, and then you can fade the wall like into this black that you have here. Let me find that. So I don't know, something like that. So you have, you know, you simplify this, add a shadow, make him more in black, in the solid black area here, and then simplify this wall. There's a lot of other things you could do in here for clarification, but I think that those are some of the basic things you could do. This close-up's pretty cool. And feel free to chat, chime in, ask questions, comment. We got Pamela here. She's getting bored. She's yawning. She's like, enough of this art talk already. Can we get to the pretty Amanda pictures?
Well, it is my kid.
This is really good. I like the hatching here. This group of hatching here shows a lot of promise. This is nice. Those are really clean. These are good too. So here you're going thin to thick, which is a nice, you're getting the idea down. It kind of starts falling apart here because you're not using that same idea. And always think too, when you do hatching, like these muscle groups here, these traps, you can go a lot thicker in there. Like bigger muscle groups and bigger shapes will handle thicker hatching. So always think of that as well. Excuse me, he's saying enough already. Okay. I'm listening. I'm listening. Okay, so we got that. Do I have another? No, I do not. So let me see. What is this picture? Oh, I did have another. So this is kind of same. So this we'll just use this to give. It was Guido, right, Pamela?
Yes.
Some more exposure. But yeah, just start thinking. Try to simplify things up. This is a very ambitious style that you're choosing. I mean, these effects and stuff are quite nice. I mean, that's some good brush work. So you have a lot of promise. I mean, the difference between these and then these action lines, it's really good, man. It's really, really good. Just clean it up, simplify, and clean stuff up, and make it easier to read. And I think that will be a big improvement. So what do we got? Yeah. So what I did is I remastered this bad boy last night, and so this is a pinup that was originally used in issue 3, I believe, of Black and White, the image book that my wife and I did in '94. So Greg and I were pretty tight at the time, Greg Capullo, and we were on the phone a lot. And he'd give me kind of pencil lessons, and I would give him some ink critiques and lessons. And so we kind of fed off of each other, and we had our personalities and our humor was real similar. So we could spend hours just hanging out. And drawing alone is kind of boring, so it's always fun to have a drawing partner and somebody to hang out while you're working. And so for a couple of years, that's what Greg and I were. So he was what does it say?
Oh, nothing. I was just thinking back to the con that you guys did. Was it Canada? Where he was telling us about when he was a little boy. It was summer, and I think he said he was at his grandparents or something, and they had a wooden fence, and as all little boys, there was a hole, and so
Oh, I remember this now.
and so, excuse me, he shoved his finger in it, and he felt something squishy in there. And again, as most little boys do, he tries to look in, couldn't see, so he kept poking at this thing. And he said he had a ball just poking whatever was squishy. And finally, he took his finger out and he turned away for a while. And when he came back, this big old fat spider climbed out of the hole.
So he was squishing around on a big old spider.
This big old like black widow with that squishy body.
My favorite Greg Capullo story was it was a cautionary tale. I guess he worked at a hotel or something, and he was in the public bathroom there, and there was this guy kind of like in the stall while the stalls are where the toilet is where you can sit down. And if you don't know the dynamic between a male female, then there's the stand-up urinals, and then there's the stall, which are enclosed. And so the guy is in the stall, and he's making a lot of like not good sounds, like it's kind of painful. And so then Greg's just kind of doing his business, and he's a little concerned. And then all of a sudden, it stopped, the sounds, and so then he was a little concerned. So he started tapping on the stall. It's like, "Hey, buddy, you okay? You okay?" And the guy was not okay. he died on the throne like Elvis, and
Poor Poor man.
Yeah, I know. And so I don't know what came up. Like, when you spend hours talking to people, sometimes you share things. And so he was just saying, Art, never, ever, never grunt, never, never push. He says, if it isn't going to come out naturally, don't prod it along. And so I don't. I don't to this day. I do not. I do not do that. So thank you, Greg. I'm probably alive to this day because of the cautionary tale. So anyway, yeah, he was gracious enough to draw this up for me and for the book, and so I inked it up, and you can see the date says 1994. So this is kind of where Greg and I were at in 1994. So to keep up the theme of the remastered, um, I did this. So it'll be subtle to you guys, and this is not always great resolution, but you can see that there's a lot more clarification. It's a lot tighter. So I basically went in and I hand inked it, and then I went in and I digitally remastered. So what was it?
Oh, someone wrote his intestines were in the bowl.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what. I didn't want to get too graphic, and to be honest, I didn't press Greg on any of the details. Yeah. So yeah, you can kind of see that there's a little bit of texture thrown in there. The hair is all detailed a little bit more. Let's go. Let's let's see if we can match the shots a little bit, so you can see a little bit more of the before after. Okay. Boom. Boom. Okay.
And I know this is one of your tiers on your Indiegogo.
Yeah,
is
we
this
just
cover.
we just added this. So if you haven't seen it, so there's the after, there's the before. So like I said, I mean it's real subtle, but it's definitely brought into a more contemporary look. It's tighter, it's cleaner, it's more defined, and so there's the after, there's the before. So especially on like the chest and things like that, the hatching's more defined, the blacks are more defined. It just looks like a lot more solid. It's a lot more solid piece than it was. So this is like Pamela was saying, this is going to be a new tier. Well, it is a new tier in the Indiegogo on the Indiegogo
I
campaign.
can't wait to see it colored up.
Yeah, it's at the colorist right now. So he said that we could get it late next week. So I can't wait. And here's this new technique that I've been doing. I did on like Steven Segovia and Victor Bogdanovich on Batman. What was it called? Batman Arkham Knights and Action Comics. So you can see there's a little bit of mist and effects going on in the background that wasn't in the original, just to add some depth and texture to it. And I did the same to kind of push back some of these buildings here and then in here. So let's find them out. I don't know. This stuff turns me on. I don't know how you guys feel about it, but I dig taking this stuff and then just plussing it even beyond the original. It's a passion.
The line work is amazing.
Yeah, so you can kind of see, and by hazing it up a little bit with some fingerprints and some different effects, it kind of pushes the buildings back and adds depth to things and becomes a way of establishing planes again, like we were talking about earlier. So, you can push back some of these more background elements and add some nice texture, kind of in a Blade Runner kind of way. So I hope you guys like this. This was a little exclusive peek. I was very proud of the way this came out. So you guys are getting early peeks at it. It hasn't even been put up on the site yet. So I'm hoping to get this, this version of it up on the site. And also, I don't know if you guys noticed, but the dimensions different because old comic books were actually wider than they were tall. The newer ones are narrower and taller, which is going to be good, which is going to be better because we're going to put the logo in here, so we'll be obscuring less of the detail than we would have on the original drawing. So if you're listening, Greg, or if anyone knows Greg, tell him thanks again for doing this way back when, doing me a solid. And if you need anything from me, just call. I'll do whatever you need. Whatever you need. So let's check this out one last time. Look at that. Look at that. Look at White's hair. Reed's gun.
I know when you used to do conventions, you would come home with great stories. Is this going to be a print stretch goal?
Ooh, I never thought about that. Maybe it could be. Yeah, maybe we could sell it. It's a variant cover right now. And like I said, we're going to be probably the end of this coming week. We'll have it and we'll be showing it around on the campaign page. And but I'll talk to my partner about a print. That might be a cool idea. Maybe a stretch goal print or just a print that you could buy. Excellent idea. So you could see, like, Greg doesn't sign his name that way anymore, and I don't sign my name with the initials. So I think we both spell out our last name, which is kind of weird that we both do that now. So anyway, thanks, Greg. Thanks for tuning in. So this was our catch-all episode, and I hope you enjoyed it. Have a great weekend, and I'll see you guys soon.
Bye, everyone.